Bring that tight. Make that tight.
Won't let you get burned.
What time is it? 6. If you let me, I'll get rid of you. If you let me, I will. So, I need to transform it this because that's the way I look at. If you let me.
Hey, Spivey.
And I know about Detective Finley. But I heard all about it. Sure as hell don't sound like a black man from Boston fun. Figured he was setting me up, so I thought I'd come in the favor.
Look.
A lot less pay.
Nah.
No. It's too small. It'll be uncomfortable.
As uncomfortable as it was a stomach, you know.
I could cry the words. My shit really like that.
Maybe you don't want to draw attention firing us at a crowded bar.
I'll take it if you let me. If you let me.
You guys know a kid upset about hesitation, right? Kid who hesitates.
Yo. If you let me.
Booking.com has all kinds of stays. It's a city hotel that's right for some, but not quite right for others. Find exactly what you're looking for. Booking.com, booking.yeah.
With depression, it feels like a get your go now.
At the beginning of the story, we see a prison named the Shawshank Redemption. This is the most secure prison in the world. There are thousands of prisoners in this jail. But to this day, no prisoner has ever escaped from this prison because the security here is extremely strict.
Hello.
There are also prisoners in this jail
I don't think I'm
who spend their
connected.
entire lives here.
It says I am, but I don't think that is.
Escaping from this prison because the punishment for a prisoner who tries to escape is straight up death. Now the scene comes here, and we are shown a man named Andy in court. He's a banker at a very big bank in America. The judge sentences him to life imprisonment for the murder of his wife and her lover. But Andy says that he did not commit these murders. However, Andy had no proof to prove himself innocent. Because of this, the court judge sends Andy to the world's most secure prison, the Shawshank Redemption, for life imprisonment. There are many other prisoners along with Andy, and when these prisoners are brought inside already inside make bets among themselves about which one of the new prisoners will cry tonight. And for this, they bet a pack of cigarettes. They pick one prisoner each from the new arrivals standing in line outside. Then a prisoner named Red bets on Andy because he thinks Andy looks very innocent and comes from a very rich background who has never faced hardship. So he thinks Andy will be the first one to cry tonight. After this, all the prisoners are brought
Yeah, I
inside
lost
the
2
jail
subs.
line, and each one is locked inside his cell. After some time, night falls, and then the old prisoners start yelling at the new ones, so that one of them gets scared and starts crying. And that is exactly what happens. One of the new prisoners breaks down crying and says that he wants to go home. Just then, the guards arrive, and they tell him to
I
stop
think
crying.
both
But
of
when
them
the man
working.
doesn't stop crying, the guards pull him out of the cell and beat him so badly that he passes out. On the other side, Red loses the bet he placed on Andy, and Red realizes that Andy is very strong because even after being scared like that, he didn't make a single sound. And that's why the next day Red gives a box of cigarettes to his companion because he had lost the bet he placed on Andy. Just then we see Andy, who is sitting alone quietly having breakfast. Then Andy meets Brooks, the oldest prisoner in the jail. Brooks is about to complete nearly 50
Alright.
years here in this
It should work.
Andy wisely tries to learn from Brooks about all the small and big rules of this jail and about every single prisoner. Then Brooks tells Andy every secret of the prison, and he tells him that if you ever want something brought in from outside the jail, you should go to a prisoner named Red. Hearing this, Andy doesn't wait and goes straight to Red and says that I've heard you can get anything brought inside from outside. Then Red says yes, I can get it, but only things that can be used to escape from here or to kill someone. Andy tells Red that I need a hammer. The moment he hears the word hammer, Red says, why do you need a hammer? Are you planning to kill someone with it? Then Andy says, no, I'm not going to kill anyone. I don't have any enemies here. Hearing this, Red says you may not have enemies here, but soon some people are going to become your enemies. He points toward a few men and warns Andy that these guys have dirty intentions towards you, so stay away from them. The next day, at Andy's request, Red gets a hammer brought for him, and when he sees the hammer, Red starts laughing because the hammer is very small in size. And deep down, Red thinks that with this hammer, it would take 600 years to dig a tunnel in the prison. After that, through Brooks, Red delivers the hammer to Andy's cell. Days pass like this, and one day when Andy is working in the laundry, those 3 men who have bad intentions toward Andy grab him. Andy tries to free himself from them, but he couldn't control 3 men all by himself. So the 3 of them first beat Andy badly and then do wrong to him. This pattern keeps going on like this. They always catch Andy and then beat him and do wrong to him. In this way, 2 years pass, and an announcement is made that some people are needed for roof repairs. Here, a team of prisoners gets ready for the roof work, which includes Red and Andy as well. They all get busy with their work, and on the roof, the responsibility of watching them is given to a very strict security guard, whose name is Hadley. Hadley is a very strict man who beats prisoners very badly for even the slightest mistake. When all the prisoners are working on the roof, Hadley looks a little troubled and tells his co-workers that his brother recently died and has $30,000 sitting in his account. Now, other than me, my brother has no one else in this world, so I have the right to that money. But the problem is that when I transfer this $30,000 into my account, the government will take almost all of it as tax. While Hadley is talking about this with his co-workers, Andy overhears everything. Andy, who is a very big banker, knew how that money could be withdrawn without paying taxes to the government. After this, without thinking, Andy goes up to Hadley and says to him, do you trust your wife? Hearing this, Hadley gets angry and grabs Andy and takes him to the edge of the roof. But before throwing him down, Andy tells him that if you trust your wife that she won't betray you, then you can easily transfer your brother's money into your wife's account. And that too without paying tax, because the government has a rule that any person can gift up to $60,000 to his wife in his lifetime, and no tax is charged on that money. And Andy also says that if you hire a lawyer from outside, he'll charge you a lot of money. But I can do this work for you for free. Then Hadley asks, what do you want in return? To this, Andy smiles and says, I don't want anything. When your work is done, just buy beer for all my friends. And the next day, all the prisoners are sitting on the roof enjoying beer. That means Andy had done Hadley's work, but Andy doesn't drink beer. He sits in a corner happily watching everyone drink beer. Andy's friends are also very happy with him because drinking beer in prison was almost impossible. But because of Andy, their wish was fulfilled. Then time passes like this, and Andy and Red's friendship grows. A few days later, all the prisoners in the jail are shown a movie, and everyone is watching a film starring Rita Hayworth. Then Andy comes up to Red and says, I want a big poster of Rita Hayworth. Andy asks Red for the poster because in the whole prison, Red was the only one who could get anything brought in from outside. After that, Andy walks outside, but as soon as he comes out, those same 3 men are standing there who used to do wrong to Andy. They say to Andy, come with us. But this time, Andy refuses. When Andy refuses, they grab him and try to force themselves on him. But Andy fights back against them. But there are 3 of them. Because of that, they beat Andy very badly. But today, they aren't able to do anything to Andy. Still, they beat Andy so badly that he ends up in the hospital for a month, and the man who beat Andy is put into solitary confinement for a week. A week later, when he returns to his cell, that same officer is there whose $30,000 tax Andy had saved. And someone had told this officer that officer beats that man so brutally that he becomes permanently paralyzed. A month later, when Andy returns to his cell from the hospital, he finds a big poster of Rita Hayworth in his cell, which is actually a welcome gift from Red. Days pass like this, and one day the prison warden comes to Andy's cell with a security guard and has his cell searched. After the search, when the warden doesn't find anything, his eyes fall on the poster hanging in front. The warden says, "Normally I don't allow posters in cells, but you can keep this in your cell." Actually, the search was just an excuse. That officer had told the warden how Andy has saved his $30,000 in taxes. That's why the warden wanted to meet Andy for his own benefit. Andy has a Bible in his hand, which he takes, and carrying the Bible, he walks out of there. But after going just a little distance, he comes back and returning Andy's Bible that he has in his hand, he says, "Salvation lies within this." The next day, the warden calls Andy into his office and says, "An intelligent man like you shouldn't be behind prison bars." So the warden makes Andy the assistant of the library. In the library, there is the same old man named Brooks, who has been managing it for many years. Just then, the officer for whom Andy has saved $100 brings another officer to Andy. Actually, he had an issue with his tax return, which Andy fills out in just a few minutes. Because of this, Andy starts becoming talked about throughout the whole prison. As the years pass, Andy's workload keeps increasing. Because of that, Andy needs an assistant, and he makes his best friend Red his assistant. One day in the library, Brooks holds a knife to a prisoner's throat and threatens to kill him for no reason. Actually, the government has pardoned his sentence, but he doesn't want to leave this prison. Today, he has completed a full 50 years in this prison. His whole life has passed inside this prison, and he has completely forgotten what the outside world is like. This prison world is his real world, and he thinks that if he kills someone, his sentence will be extended, and he'll be kept in this prison. After Andy explains things to him, Brooks lets go of the man whose neck he was holding the knife to. Now, even though he doesn't want to, when Brooks is released from prison and comes outside, the outside world feels very strange to him. In 50 years, the speed of the outside world has increased a lot. Where earlier you might see one car on the road, now the roads are crowded with cars. After a few days, he starts working at a supermarket, but he doesn't feel comfortable in the outside world at all. He keeps remembering the prison again and again and wants to go back there. That's why sometimes he thinks about committing a crime so that he can go back to this prison. But at this age, Brooks doesn't want to commit any crime. And in this crowded, fast-moving life, Brooks isn't to survive, and he loses his life behind. He writes a letter to his friends in prison, and while reading it, everyone becomes very emotional. At the same time, we are shown the prison where the warden starts a new program. In this program, the prisoners will be taken outside to work so they can learn how money is earned through hard work. And the prisoners also agree to do this work because they all want to breathe the outside air. And in this way, the warden gets work done from these prisoners. But through this project, the warden starts getting many contracts because prison labor is very cheap, and the local construction labor teams outside don't get any work anywhere because the warden gets their work done by his prisoners at half the price. And the warden does the work at half price because the prisoners aren't actual laborers and he has to pay daily wages to. That's why the warden makes the prisoners work for free and starts earning a lot of money. And this money of his is black money. But because Andy is a banker, he turns all of the warden's black money into white. Actually, Andy deposits this money exist in this world, and he transfers all the money into that account so that even if the police find out someday, they'll be searching for a man who was never now, a new prisoner arrives in the jail whose name is Tommy. Tommy is very young, and at this small age he has already been to business. Tommy has a very friendly nature. That's why he quickly becomes friends with many prisoners in the jail. One day at the dining table, Tommy tells everyone that he has been stealing for many years. That's why he has already been to many prisons. And this time too, he came to this prison because of theft. While listening to Tommy, Andy tells him that if you keep getting caught again and again after stealing, then it means this work doesn't suit you. So you should stop stealing. Tommy finds Andy's words absolutely right. So Tommy starts asking Red about Andy. Tommy tells Red that Andy is very intelligent and a decent man. Why is he in prison? Red tells him that Andy was a very big banker, but he murdered his wife and her lover. Because of that, he got a life sentence. Hearing this, Tommy falls into thought, as if he remembered something. After that, he calls Andy over. Now in front of Tommy stand Andy and Red. Tommy tells both of them that 4 years ago, I went to a prison. There I met a prisoner, and that prisoner told me that one night he went to a house to rob it. During the robbery, the owner of the house woke up. Afraid of being caught, he killed the owner of the house and his wife. Later, he found out that they weren't husband and wife, but lovers, and that woman was the wife of a very big banker. Sometime later, when I read the news in the newspaper, I learned that when the police investigated these two murders, they suspected that the banker had killed them both. So the banker was arrested on charges of murdering his wife and his wife's lover. Here we find out that Andy was innocent. After learning all this, Andy goes to the warden and tells him everything. But the warden deliberately doesn't believe him because Andy is the man who turns his black money into white and knows all of the warden's secrets. So if Andy leaves here, the warden won't be able to make more money, and his black money secret might also be exposed. So he tells Andy that this is a false story. I hear stories like this every day. Andy promises the warden that even if I get free,
I could if I want to.
Absolutely true. After that, he asks
Wait, I didn't start chat.
to court. Can you testify to this? Tommy says yes. I'm ready for that. The moment he hears
If you let me.
after that, the woman
Alright, guys, what's up, everybody? Leonitrous here. We're about to do the chat. I meant the stream for work stream. Study stream. Let's get it.
that from today on, I will never do your work again. Then the warden says, you will have to do my work. Otherwise, I will turn this prison into hell for you. And as he leaves, the warden tells the security guard to keep him in solitary for another month. Solitary confinement was a terrifying place where a prisoner had to stay in pitch darkness for an entire month. Now, Andy had already spent 1 month in solitary confinement, but now he would have to spend another month in that same small dark room. Outside, throughout the whole prison, the news spreads that Andy is serving time for a fine. Prisoners inside the jail feel very bad for him. Now, after spending a full 2 months in solitary, Andy comes out, Red comes over. Andy asks Red, will you ever miss? Red says yes, but only when I've become very and my mind has stopped working. Andy says he's going to leave here and go to Mexico. In Mexico, there's a very beautiful place by here. Say a man can lose there. I'll open a restaurant there. I'll fix up my boat by the shore, and there I'll need a resort guy who can bring me supplies from outside. He was actually pointing toward Red. Hearing this, Red says hope is a very dangerous thing. It'll drive him crazy. You need to come back to the real world. Here, saying this, Red starts to walk away. But before leaving, Andy says to Red, promise me that if you ever get released from here, you'll do something for me. Red says yes, I definitely will. Then Andy gives Red an address and says, whenever
If you're tasting me, then you would have found for her.
Ulta Beauty, the best place to shop fragrance.
IHG Hotels and Resorts. From Red Black and Local. Unplug for the day. Our partnership with all weekend. With IHG's 20 hotel brands. You can guess how you guess. Wake up!
Whenever you get out of here, go to that place where there's a beautiful tree and we love you. Under that very tree is where I proposed to my wife. He tells Red that under that tree, inside the wall, you'll find a black stone. And under it, I've hidden a box. And whenever you get released, go there and look under that stone at that box and see what's inside. Saying this, Andy leaves from there and goes straight to the warden. He finishes the warden's work and puts all his documents into a special safe. After putting the documents away, the warden gives Andy his clothes. He tells Andy, get my clothes pressed and shine my shoes like a mirror. After that, Andy returns to his cell. Meanwhile, on the other side, Red is very worried tonight because he's afraid Andy might hurt himself. In this way, the night passes and morning comes. As soon as morning arrives, all the prisoners send for
Charger. I'll take care of it. Oh, guys. We gotta be prepared, bro. We gotta be prepared. Let me see. I want to check something. My PC. If you let me, I'll take care of you. So, yeah. Alright. If you let me, I'll take care of you. How to be. Oh, that's how you turn it on. La 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 la. Alright, Dutch, English. First thing you want to do is the date and the time. What's it? Year. Do month, no, day. How do we do it? Month, day, year. Alright, let me sit down. I don't know how to charge this. Let's say charged. Alright, cool. this shit up.
all the money, and that money is $370,000, which means Andy not only became free, but also became rich with money. And here we find out that from the very day Andy entered that prison, he had been planning all of this. The warden had treated Andy very badly in prison, and he had also killed Tommy. So he gives proof of the warden's black money to the media. The next morning, this news gets printed in the newspaper, and when the warden opens the safe and looks inside it, there is in his documents but a Bible. On the first page of the Bible, Andy had written that you are right. Salvation lies within this. And when the warden turns the page, he sees a mark of a hammer there. Actually, Andy had cut the pages of the Bible in the shape of a hammer and made a mold. Inside it, he used to hide his hammer. And 20 years ago, when the warden first went into Andy's cell and took Andy's Bible from his hands and returned it to him, at that time too, the hammer was inside that Bible. Seeing this, the warden gets a huge shock. On the other side, the news of the warden's black money has spread throughout the whole city. So outside the prison, reporters and police were coming to arrest the warden. And before the police could arrest him, the warden shoots himself. After some time passes, Andy's friend Red also gets his sentence pardoned, and he is even given a job by the government. But in the outside world, Red's heart doesn't feel at ease at all, because he has spent 40 years of his life in prison. Red lives in the same room where Brooks used to live, and Red also wants to end his life. But just then, he remembers that he had made a promise to Andy. After that, he sets off in a car for that place, and he goes to that big grassy field where there is a very large tree. There is also a wall of stones. On that wall, there is a black stone, and when he lifts that stone, there is a box underneath it. Inside that box, there is some money and a letter. That letter
This should take a mad long.
it is written that Andy is waiting for Red at the same place that Andy had told Red about in prison.
I never waited that long for a minute to change, I swear.
After this, Red reaches that place, and when he goes to the seashore, he sees Andy sitting in a boat fixing it. This place, all of this,
Let's
is
see.
Andy's dream that he had shared.
Oh, the cover's on. I want to see how clear this shit looks.
After this, the two of them hug each other, and with this, the story comes to an end. If you like this video, then please subscribe to our channel and be sure to like the video. At the beginning of the story, we see a prison.
Let's see how this looks. I don't get the difference. Oh, that's the difference. I mean, alright, so right now, I wonder if you could like zoom in. It tells you what typically, I don't know, this most likely comes off. And it comes with some, I personally want to try a picture. It comes with some film, I'm pretty sure. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, I didn't even put the SD card in. I think I should move it off first, then do that. The SD card goes, let's see, oh, right there. If you let me, she says, I'm taking. I don't want to scratch the lens. Do this shit right. This shit feel kind of cheap. Here we go. So the micro SD, that's where you charge it. You gotta put the SD in there. What's up, guys? What y'all up to? If you let me, suppose these does these. Oh, what's the difference? don't know which SD card was. Let me see if I have to delete it. Alright. If you let me meet in China. I don't know, I guess it goes this way. This way. Let's see. I got Google it. Pretty sure. Alright, cool. Proper. Okay. Alright, so it says open your flat, holding the card with middle contact down towards the back of the camera. Pushing it into the when it clicks. Let's see if I clicked all right. Let's see. Why is it not doing that? Maybe I gotta look at a fucking video because that's not the right directions. Let's see. This should help.
Hi, Elsa. I'm not looking for you.
Look at this little beauty a family got.
Nice steak, Chris.
Whoa, what is that?
Oh no, it's a books.
That's full-on eye. Man, we're buddies in the next Leonitrous.
And how exactly would I do that, Chris?
I could just be chilling in the pool one night.
I think I'll close the pool cover. Luke, your car's here. I'm gonna go. Love you. You seem tense. Can I book you a massage? And a cinnamon scrub?
Love us in the scrub.
A prison named the Shawshank Redemption. This is the most secure prison in the world. There are thousands of prisoners in this jail. But to this day, no prisoner has ever escaped from this prison because the security here is extremely strict. There are also prisoners in this jail who have spent their entire lives here. But they never even had the thought of escaping from this prison because the punishment for a prisoner who tries to escape is straight up death. Now the scene cuts here and we are shown a man named Andy in court, who is a banker at a very big bank in America. The judge sentences him to life imprisonment for the murder of his wife and her lover. But Andy says that he did not commit these murders. Andy had proved himself innocent. Because of this, the court's judge sends Andy to the world's most secure prison, the Shawshank Redemption, for life imprisonment. There are many other prisoners along with Andy, and when these prisoners are brought inside the jail, the other inmates already inside make bets among themselves about which one of the new prisoners will cry tonight. And for this, they bet a pack of cigarettes. They pick one prisoner each from the new arrivals standing in line outside. Then a prisoner named Red bets on Andy because he thinks Andy looks very innocent and comes from a very rich background who has never faced hardship. So he thinks Andy will be the first one to cry tonight. After this, all the prisoners are brought inside the jail in a line, and each one is locked inside his cell. After some time, night falls, and then the old prisoners start yelling at the new ones, so that one of them gets scared and starts crying. And that is exactly what happens. One of the new prisoners breaks down crying and says that he wants to go home. Just then, the guards arrive, and they tell him to stop crying. But when the man doesn't stop crying, The guards pull him out of the cell and beat him so badly that he passes out. On the other side, Red loses the bet he placed on Andy, and Red realizes that Andy is very strong because even after being mad, he didn't make a single sound. That's why the next day Red gives a box of cigarettes to his companion because he had lost the bet he placed on Andy. Just then we see Andy, who is sitting alone quietly having breakfast. Then Andy meets Brooks, the oldest prisoner in the jail. Brooks is about to complete nearly 50 years here in this prison. Andy wisely tries to learn from Brooks about all the small and big rules of this jail and about every single prisoner. Then Brooks tells Andy every secret of the prison, and he tells him that if you ever want something brought in from outside the jail, you should to a prisoner named Red. Hearing this, Andy doesn't wait and goes straight to Red and says that I've heard you can get anything brought inside from outside. Then Red says yes, I can get it, but only things that can be used to escape from here or to kill someone. Andy tells Red that I need a hammer. The moment he hears the word hammer, Red says, why do you need a hammer? Are you planning to kill someone with it? Then Andy says, no, I'm not going to kill anyone. I don't have any enemies here. Hearing this, Red says you may not have enemies here, but soon some people are going to become your enemies. He points toward a few men and warns Andy that these guys have dirty intentions towards you, so stay away from them. The next day, at Andy's request, Red gets a hammer brought for him, and when he sees the hammer, Red starts laughing because the hammer is very small in size. And deep down, Red thinks that with this hammer, it would take 600 years to dig a tunnel in the prison. After that, through Brooks, Red delivers the hammer to Andy's cell. Days pass like this, and one day when Andy is working in the laundry, those three men who have bad intentions toward Andy grab him. Andy tries to free himself from them, but he couldn't control three men all by himself. So the three of them first beat Andy badly and then do wrong to him. This pattern keeps going on like this. They always catch Andy and then beat him and do wrong to him. In this way, 2 years pass and people are needed for roof repairs. Here, a team of prisoners gets ready for the roof work, which includes Red and Andy as well. They all get busy with their work, and on the roof, the responsibility of watching them is given to a very strict security guard, whose name is Hadley. Hadley is a very strict man who beats prisoners very badly for even the slightest mistake. When all the prisoners are working on the roof, Hadley looks a little troubled and tells his co-workers that his brother recently died and has $30,000 sitting in his account. Now, other than me, my brother has no one else in this world, so I have the right to that money. But the problem is that when I transfer this $30,000 into my account, the government will take almost all of it as tax. Hadley is talking about this with his co-workers. Andy overhears everything. Andy, who is a very banker, knew how that money could be withdrawn without paying taxes to the government. After this, without Andy goes up to Hadley and says to him, do you trust your wife? Hearing this, Hadley gets angry and grabs Andy and takes him to the edge of the roof. But before throwing him down, Andy tells him that if you trust your wife that she won't betray you, then you can easily transfer your brother's money into your wife's account. And that too without paying tax. Because the government has a rule that any person can gift up to $60,000 to his wife in his lifetime from outside you a lot of money. But I can do this work for you for free. Hadley says, I don't want anything. When you're working, and the next day all the prisoners are sitting on the roof enjoying beer. That means Andy had done Hadley's work, but Andy doesn't drink beer. He sits in a corner happily watching everyone drink beer. Andy's friends are also very happy with him because drinking beer in prison was almost impossible. But because of Andy, their wish was fulfilled. Then time passes this, and Andy and Red's friendship grows deep. A few days later, and everyone is watching a film starring Rita Hayworth. Then Andy comes up to Red and says, I want a big poster of Rita Hayworth. Andy asks Red for the poster because in the whole
there we go.
only one who could get anything brought out.
This one there.
He walks up. But this time he uses. When Andy refuses, they try to
It goes that way.
but Andy fights.
It's telling me this is the
Because of that, they beat Andy very badly. But today they aren't able to do anything to Andy. Still, they beat Andy so badly that he ends up in the hospital for a month.
it's telling me a whole
Andy
different
is
way.
put into solitary confinement for a week. A week later, when he returns to his cell, that same officer is there whose $30,000 tax saved. And someone had told this officer that this man had beaten Andy so badly that he ended up in the hospital for a month. Now here, that officer beats
Because
Andy
that's
so
there.
quickly that he's permanently paralyzed. A month later, when Andy returns to his cell from the hospital, he finds a big poster of Red Hayworth in his cell, which is actually a welcome gift from Red. Days pass like this, and one day the prison warden
Charges.
goes to Andy's cell
This
with a
one's
security
just
guard and has his cell searched. After the search, when the warden doesn't find anything, his eyes fall on the poster.
Let's try this out before I turn it on. There's some film in this bitch.
Actually, the search was just an experiment. I told the warden how Andy has saved his
I'll take care of you.
Andy has a Bible in his hand.
Is it gonna fall forward?
Carrying the Bible,
No,
he
it
walks
seems
out
to be
with it.
fine.
But after going just a little distance, he comes back and returning Andy's Bible that he has in his hand, he says, salvation lies within this. The next day, the warden calls Andy into his office and says that an intelligent
look a little bigger. I don't know why. Might be the same shit. I had one that was already open. Where did I put it? It might be in there. Anyways. If you let me.
Andy needs an assistant, and he makes his best friend Red his assistant. One day in the library, Brooks holds a knife to a prisoner's throat and threatens to kill him for no reason. Actually, the government has pardoned his sentence, but he doesn't want to leave his prison. Today, he has completed a full 50 years in his prison. His whole life has passed inside.
Oh, it goes in there.
And he has completely forgotten what the outside world is like. This prison world is his real world, and he thinks that if he kills someone, his sentence will be extended, and he'll be kept in this prison. After Andy explains things to him, Brooks lets go of the man whose neck he was holding the knife. Now, even though he doesn't know
Honestly, I even turned it on.
from prison and comes outside,
I didn't even turn it on. You did that.
earlier you might see one car on the road.
That's
Now
not
the
weird.
roads are crowded with cars. After a few days, he starts working
Anyways,
at a supermarket.
I want to see
Doesn't
something.
feel comfortable in the outside
If
world
you
at all. He keeps
let
remembering the prison
me.
again and again and wants to go back there. That's why sometimes he
I think I could take pictures without. I don't fucking know. Alright, we want to take a picture like that. Let me see.
And while reading, it becomes very emotional. At the same time, we have shown that there are war times in this program. Outside to work, so they can learn how money is earned through hard work. There's also agreed to do this work because they all want to breathe the outside air. And in this way, the warden gets work done from these prisoners. But through this project, the warden starts getting many contracts because prison labor is very cheap, and the local construction labor teams outside don't get any work anywhere because the warden gets their work done by his prisoners at half the price. And the warden does the work at half price because the prisoners aren't actual laborers that he has to pay daily wages.
I just turned the shit off. But most likely it's going to be on. How do you take a picture?
Doesn't even exist in this world, and he transfers all the money into that account so that even if the police find out someday, he's searching for a man who was never even born. Now a new prisoner arrives in the jail whose name is
Oh,
Tommy is very young, and at this small age he has already been to many prisons. Tommy has a very friendly nature. That's why he quickly becomes friends with many prisoners in the jail. One day at the dining table, Tommy tells everyone that he has been stealing for many years. That's why he has already been to many prisons. And this time too, he came to this prison because of theft. While listening to Tommy, Andy tells him that if you keep getting caught again and again after stealing, then it means this work doesn't suit you. So you should stop stealing. Tommy finds Andy's words absolutely right. So Tommy starts asking Red about Andy. Tommy tells Red that Andy is very intelligent and a decent man. Why is he in prison? Red tells him that Andy was a very big banker, but he murdered Love. Because of that, he got a life sentence. Hearing this, Tommy falls into thought, as if he remembered something. After that, he calls Andy over. Now in front of Tommy stand Andy and Red. Tommy tells both of them that 4 years ago, I went to a prison. There I met a prisoner, and that prisoner told me that one night he went to a house to rob it. During the robbery, the owner of the house woke up. Afraid of being caught, he killed the owner of the house and his wife. Later, he found out that they weren't husband and wife, but lovers. And that woman was the wife of a very big banker. Sometime later, when I read the news in the newspaper, I learned that when the police investigated these two murders, they suspected that the banker had killed them both. So the banker was arrested on charges of murdering his wife and his wife's lover. Here we find out that Andy was innocent. After learning all this, Andy goes to the warden and tells him everything. But the warden deliberately doesn't believe him because Andy is the man who turns his black money into white and knows all of the warden's secrets. So if Andy leaves here, the warden won't be able to make more money, and his black money secret might also be exposed.
What I want to do is this.
This is a false story. I hear stories like this every day. Andy promises the warden that even if I get free, I'll still keep
I was supposed to get a
the
game,
warden
but
doesn't listen to
it's
a
alright.
single thing Andy says. Seeing this makes Andy very angry that I helped this man so much.
I already played earlier this morning,
Still won't let me out. So Andy yells
but
at the warden.
what I want to do
The warden throws
is
Andy into
this.
solitary confinement for 1 month.
Then
And after
go
that,
back.
he goes straight to Tommy and asks him if everything you told Andy is true. Tommy says yes, it's absolutely true. After that, he asks Tommy, if you're called to court, can you testify to this? Tommy says yes, I'm ready for that. The moment he hears this, the warden signals to the guard above, and the guard shoots Tommy dead. After that, the warden goes to Andy and tells him that Tommy tried to escape, so he was shot. But Andy understands why Tommy was killed, and deep down he thinks the warden is a very vile man. Andy tells the warden that from today on, I will never do your work again. Then the warden says, you will have to do my work, otherwise I'll turn this prison into hell for you. And as he leaves, the warden tells the security guard to keep him in solitary for another month. Solitary confinement was a terrifying place where a prisoner had to 1 month in solitary confinement, but now he would have to spend another month in that same small dark room. Outside, throughout the whole prison, the news spreads that Andy is serving time for a crime he never even committed. All the prisoners inside the jail feel very bad for Andy. Now, after spending a full 2 months in solitary, when Andy comes out, Red comes over to him. Andy asks Red, will you ever be able to get out of this prison? Red says yes, but only when I've become very old and my mind has stopped working. Andy says, I'm going to leave here and go to Mexico. In Mexico, there's a very beautiful place by the ocean. They say a man can lose himself there. I'll open a restaurant there. I'll fix up my boat by the shore. And there I'll be a resourceful guy who can bring me some eyes from outside. He was actually pointing toward Red. Hearing this,
That's supposed to leave in an hour.
dangerous thing. It can drive a man crazy. You need to go back to the real world. Mexico is very far from here. Saying this, Red starts to walk away. But before leaving, Andy says to Red, promise me that if you ever get released from here, you'll do something for me. Red says, yes, I definitely will. Then Andy gives Red an address and says, whenever...
When buying a coffee, you want to pay right away. But buying tickets to Paris, that's when you probably pay later. With the Klarna card, debit is the default. And pay later is there for when you need it. Choose how it works. Writing it out. The Klarna
I
card
didn't even
makes
see
sure you
that
stay
shit.
in control. Always with clear terms, no annual fees, or credit impact to apply. And that's smart. That's Klarna.
Don't just take off. Take charge. Check your comeback pay and the will be back in you.
Arby's meat-free box includes your choice of classic roast beef or crispy chicken, and now you can also get the big crispy fish sandwich. So get your choice of meat and 3 sides all for just $7.99. Arby's, we have the meats.
Okay, real talk. Chocolate crumble with no trust me out.
Yeah, you're supposed to wait 90 seconds, they say. Hey, dude. Alright, let me see. I'm probably just gonna leave now then. Alright.
waiting